Hey everyone, this is another ownership podcast. I'm your host, 8-Bit Penis, and I have today somebody who's a very special guest. Uh, they're going to be raising on MetaDAO very, very soon. And by the time this pod comes out, I'm pretty sure that, the raise is either already live or it's going to be live in a couple days. Today we have Shrii from Credible Finance. Hey Shrii, how you doing?
Hey Edbert, I'm good. What's up?
So I don't want to waste too much time. I just want to get right into the nitty gritty stuff. So I just want to know a little bit about your background and how you founded Credible and how you found MetaDAO. So could you please walk me through like your background? Do you come from crypto? Were you always a crypto native? Was that something that always fascinated you, or do you come from any other background? I believe you founded companies before and had successful exits. So I'd love if you could expand upon that as well. So yeah, just hit me.
Perfect. Thanks for the introduction, Edbert. Um, so a bit of a background on myself. Like I've been in the payments or fintech space for nearly 14 years. I started my career in 2011 with a company called Gemalto. They used to be like the biggest card issuing company for banks in Europe and in Singapore. I was in a technical role, worked there in Nice, south of France, for almost 4 years. Then I started working with a company called Cellpoint Digital. We were actually a PSP for travel industry. We basically, like did card acquiring for Emirates and bunch of other, big airlines. Also for Denmark Railways. Worked there for almost 2 years in Copenhagen. Then I moved to UK, worked with a startup there. That startup was doing brands and e-commerce payment settlement. That company later got acquired by a big e-commerce company in Germany. And after that, in 2018, I basically, like decided to do something on my own. Left Europe, moved to Singapore. I had friends there, and that's when I actually got into crypto. My first gig on Web3 was actually automated, like travel insurance settlement using smart contract with the help of air traffic controller data, and that's how I actually got into Web3. And also I got some, like I think around 100 euros worth of free Bitcoin from one of my friend because he really wanted me to do something in Web3. So that's how my first chunk of BTC came in. And then I started like getting paid also in BTC when I was doing all these gigs. I worked with a bunch of Web3 companies in Thailand, in Singapore, during that time, doing independent consulting. And that's how I basically got into Web3. And like between 18 to 21, I lived there. In 21, I came to India. I wanted to, like do something good for the society after like COVID and everything. I saw some of the close people, losing their life and so on. So I built a healthcare financing company along with my co-founder, and that company did around 15,000 loans in just 18 months, and we sold that company to a bigger fintech in India. And after that, like we were like, okay, we want to do something that is more global. So me and my co-founder, we came up with the idea of doing trade finance, where we could raise capital in stable coins and deploy it for the India Middle East corridor. And we spent some time in Saudi Arabia. We spent some time, I mean, I'm based in Dubai, so after that I moved to Dubai, and like tried different things for 6 months, but it didn't work out. And then like we came across a private credit fund called Corius Finance, based out of SF. They asked if we can, if they can use Credible for doing deployment of capital in Africa. They were already working with Goldfinch. They were already working with Centrifuge, so they knew like how it works. They liked Credible because we had a loan management system as well, and not just a private credit marketplace. And that's when we kind of made our first market pivot, not a product pivot. And we did about 50 million worth of volume with them. We were not part of any like decisioning or anything on the business side, but just as a tech infra. um, while we were still looking for the eureka moment, the like the primary use case for the platform, the product market fit, we came across a remittance app based out of SF. They asked if we could help them doing payment financing and also do settlement in Asia. So we kind of agreed to it. And this was in Q3 last year, and that's when we actually made our first product pivot, where we said, okay, instead of trade finance, we can do payment financing, which is like shorter, maximum 3 days, credit, and also we can do off ramp for them. So that's what I meant by settlement. So that was organic, and this happened in September, and then we basically decided to just go down this path. We onboarded similarly other four remittance apps, then a couple of MTOs, and then we thought, why don't we just become full blown PSP and not just focus on being a remittance infra? So that's how organically we pivoted. We onboarded creator platforms after that, because during my consulting days, I was also working close to 17 creator platforms, helping them building the pay in payout escrow kind of a setup for them, more on the advising side. So that network helped onboarded them as customers. And right now we have a customer base which is pretty diverse. Like 40% is remittance, 30% is creator payouts, 15% is more like entertainment and gaming, and so on. So like this, we have pretty diverse, customer base. And Credible is more like Stripe, but we are focused on unconventional use cases and cross-border use cases. What it means is, like, let's say you're a entertainment app based out of US or a remittance app based out of US. You want to collect payment from someone in Asia, or if you want to collect payment from someone in emerging markets, let's say, or you want to pay it to someone in emerging markets, we make it happen. Not just make it happen, we make it happen in seconds, because we front the liquidity, we underwrite the risk. We basically have built the platform where initially when we did trade finance, we anyway had like an underwriting module and everything. Now we use that underwriting module to underwrite the transaction level risk and front the liquidity from the DeFi pool to settle it instantly with the merchants. So yeah, so that's how we organically kind of pivoted from the business use case, but kept the same infra and pretty much the same platform. Yeah.
And how did you come across MetaDAO? I think that's probably an interesting story because you guys also are, I believe, got the Coliseum stamp, if I'm not mistaken. So what was that like? What was that decision like to take the company down this road of raising publicly through a platform such as MetaDAO? Did you guys have previous investors
Yeah.
before MetaDAO, and how do you reconcile the two?
Right. So we do have existing investors, but I mean, we raised about like $1.2 million, of which 300K is in grants and 900K is in investment. It includes Colosseum, it includes Outlier Ventures, then a couple of angels, as well as family offices and so on. So we have, we have not diluted much. We have diluted pretty, like a single digit liquidity, single digit, equity. But in terms of the whole idea of raising on MetaDAO, comes from our Colosseum experience, as well as we realize something that a product like ours, we also position ourselves as an open payment stack. It needs to be not just used by, let's say, neobank builders or fintech builders, or the stablecoin builders, but it should also be owned by the builders. And what we are building is more like a like a protocol. We are the first payment platform, unlike Bridge, Stripe, or Adyen and all these guys. We are gonna be owned by the community. So I think that's one of the motivation. Second is because we operate between US and emerging markets. US is a very mature market where our merchants sit, but where the customers sit, right, for the merchants. These are emerging markets. The regulations are still not mature like US. and it makes it difficult for traditional investors or traditional VCs to underwrite the risk. Whereas MetaDAO has very unique set of investors, very unique set of LPs who understand the entire crypto narrative, who understand there are markets where which are still defining the regulations. There are some risks involved and so on, which I think is ideal for a project like ours. And MetaDAO actually gave us the right platform, right set of potential investors, right set of audience and everything. So that's how MetaDAO happened. And also, like, in general, I'm very fascinated about Solana, and I think MetaDAO being a Solana ecosystem project, it helps a lot.
Did you have any interesting conversations with maybe Prophet or Colin or any of the MetaDAO team, specifically about decision markets and Futarchy? I feel like that's one of those um, topics where somebody is looking at it from the outside in. They may find it very strange for Treasury to be governed by decision markets. Was there any questions there when you first looked at it, or did it click right away?
Honestly, like, it is something that I always kind of wanted as well. Not specific to my project, but I think something like this should always exist. I've been an active investor on platforms like Hive for private equity, and I feel like having decision markets, Futarchy structure helps founders as well as investors a lot. It protects the investors' capital. It gives investors some say in the business, and also get the higher upside of the business, which was missing, I would say, in the traditional, token launches. Uh, I have had really interesting conversations with Prophet and Colin both. Colin actually, is the one who initially introduced MetaDAO to me when I was working out of the Colosseum office, and it immediately, got me excited. Prophet, we did a podcast together, and Prophet kind of, walked me through his own vision and all those things as well, and that got me even more excited. So I think in general, like, I'm really bullish on MetaDAO. I think that is the way forward, and us being part of it is really good.
That's awesome to hear. That's really good to hear. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about Credible. Um, First of all, I want to know if you had to explain to somebody who's never heard of Credible, what is the problem that Credible solves? Are you guys a B2B business, a B2C? Um, what is it? What is the gap that you're trying to fill here?
Right. So I tell you, like, in simple terms, we are like Stripe. We are a PSP. We work with high
I'm
risk
sorry.
business.
Could you explain what a PSP is to the audience,
Yeah.
because they might not know what that is.
Yeah. So we are a payment service provider. We essentially work with unconventional businesses. I wouldn't necessarily call them as high risk, but traditional gateways call them high risk. For example, prediction markets, stablecoin fintechs, gaming platforms, creator platforms, trading platforms. All these are categorized as high risk, and also like peptides and medical space of this kind is considered high risk. Credible, on the other side, works with high risk acquirers in the backend. What it means is acquirers will actually collect payments from the customers, and we orchestrate through those acquirers and like settle it with the merchant. What makes it more interesting for Credible is that like, we not just collect the payments from, let's say, a business in US collecting payment from a customer in Nigeria or a customer in Asia, and get settled. It's also that we like settle it instantly. So as a merchant, if let's say you're running a prediction market, you make a deposit, and the deposit is instantly reflected on the merchant's platform. Whereas with traditional gateways, it's usually minimum 3 days, and in cross border and high risk, it's even 7 or 11 days sometimes. So that's the settlement delay problem we are solving. In addition to this, we have like a risk scoring system, which is our proprietary AI module, where based on the information of the customer on our merchant's platform, we are able to underwrite the risk whether this transaction should be fronted. What it means is this transaction should be settled instantly or not, because when we are instantly settling, we are actually using our own treasury or our own liquidity pool to front the liquidity, and then we collect the money from the acquirer after 2 days, 3 days, or 7 days. So that's how credible is built.
I think the moment you mentioned the fronting liquidity and underwriting, it kind of made me question: is it the that where the name credible comes from, or
That's
where does the name come from?
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we started. Like if you see on Outlier Ventures website and on DeFi Llama as well, like it still has our old description. We wrote many times to them that we are no longer a lending protocol, because we initially started in trade finance and we were like underwriting the risk using our own scoring system, and that's how the name Credible happened. And then later we pivoted into payments, but we are still doing underwriting and transaction risk mitigation, and uh, I mean the name remains the same.
That's a great story. How do you guys like? I'm wondering what stops somebody like Stripe from building a very similar infrastructure for you, uh, that is just like credible. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll tell you, like, I mean, Stripe processes a little over $16 trillion worth of payments in a year, and that's massive. And they're very much focused on masses. Stripe has a simple model. On every transaction, they charge minimum 3%, plus I think it's $2 or $3 fee, and they are built for the masses. On the other side, there are gateways like Nuvei, then SafeCharge, and all these guys, where they work on high risk. And on the high risk, they like usually work. Let's say if the customer is in US and the merchant is in US, they will do the acquiring for them, or they will basically collect the payment for them, but they will not do cross border. And even if they are doing cross border through other partners, they will always settle the payment after like 3 days, or on an average 7 days. uh, they are built on a legacy framework on underwriting as well as the partner network. uh, I'm not saying Stripe cannot do it. I would say Stripe will take ages to have a different narrative, and also their banking partners and all these guys will probably not be comfortable with the kind of risk that they will deal with once they enter into the space. For the same reason, like I think they launched Tempo, but they didn't call it Stripe Chain or something because of the same reason. So it's very hard for someone working with the legacy systems to pivot and build something like this. And Credible kind of complements some of these acquirers, because we are a like we orchestrate across them. We match like which payment method, which market, which merchant should go through which acquirer, and so on. So I mean, if you go on our website, you will see the diagram in the how it works section, like how we work through the acquirers, how we do the risk scoring, fronting of liquidity, and everything. So I think it requires multiple functions and not just payment processing.
And how do you think the T plus zero, uh, T plus three, T plus seven, like all these settlements, how do you think these affect the actual underlying businesses, and how does Credible help them?
So think like this: if you're running a gaming platform, okay, and your payment acquirer or your PSP is gonna settle money after 3 days, but your player is depositing today, playing today, winning today, and then cashing out today as well. Now as a business, you're sitting on a risk that maybe after 3 days my acquirer or my PSP will not settle, or you will always have to maintain your own liquidity, so there will be always a cash flow problem. And also it will restrict you from how many customers you can onboard, how many like sets you can have on games, and so on. So with Credible, it solves that problem. We are instantly doing settlement. So, and the same problem exists for prediction markets, for like trading platforms, creator platforms. Everyone has the same problem.
You've also mentioned the open payment stack.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about that and how it works? Like, um, can like a team launch a neobank on top of
Yeah.
that, or a fintech company? Like how do I take advantage, or how do businesses take advantage of Credible in that case?
So, so let's take scenario of building a neobank, right? And what you would do is you would first go to Bridge, or you will go to MoonPay or any of these guys. They will first ask you for a minimum monthly commitment. There will be like you're locked in with the $5,000 or $3,000 minimum monthly, fees. On top of it, every time you open a new, corridor, a new rail, like for example, you want to support Vietnam, you want to support Nigeria. For each rail, even if you are not using it, you will have to pay a fixed fee. In On top of it, like you will also have to pre-fund amounts in order to give instant settlement and all that. In case of Credible, we don't have such monthly minimum requirement. You can self onboard yourself. You don't have to go through a sales call. You don't have to do all that. Like if you want, you can. I mean, we have a white glove service as well, but it's mainly focused on clients who are doing higher volume. But if you're just a startup, like I know at least three or four startups which built during the Frontier hackathon on top of Credible. One of them actually won the hackathon, and one got a mention. So these guys, like they never had to say, okay, Shri, this is how much I will pay you, then onboard me and all that. I didn't even know they're onboarded, like until they reached out, and that makes it interesting. On top of it, like just how we have our own pre-funding pool, or the DeFi protocol, they can spin up their own pool on the platform. The platform will automatically underwrite the risk because they are using our own rails. The money can only be used for doing payouts backed by already acquired payments. So that's where we position ourselves as an open payment stack. The grander vision is to be like like Linux Foundation, to be like a platform that others can build on top of and have their own flavors and so on. So that's the grander vision of Credible, and that's why we position ourselves as an open payment stack.
Is that open payment stack and Incredible? Uh, is it fully like cross chain or multi chain or however you want to call it? I think I know it is, but I would love if you could expand
Yeah.
on just perhaps patterns you see in different chains, and why you think it's important to support not just Solana, but others like Polygon as well.
Right. So I'll tell you, like we are Solana first platform. 70% of our volume goes through Solana. Uh, and I look at Solana Super Team as our distribution cheat code as well. They have helped us a lot, both on partnerships as well as like customer onboarding, community onboarding, everything. uh, and we have customers who come to us. I mean, the merchants who come to us, they say, we want to do EVM, we need EVM, network access. And when we were selecting the EVM chains, we found Polygon as the most suitable one, because they are payment centric. They also are very supportive of in general what we are doing. They don't have, let's say, the community play or the engagement like Solana, but they do have their own way of opening some doors for us. So that's how we selected Polygon. In the future, we might support Tron as well, because we are getting a lot of demand from the customers. But yeah, these are some of the chains, and we are not like I would say, like we are very organic. We have given options to the customers, and we let the customers choose what they want to use. And we have seen most of them are using Solana.
Yeah, so not only is Credible multi-chain, but it is also global and available in like multiple jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Um, However, as of now, it's mostly in emerging markets. So, how do you plan to expand to other markets, something like the U.S. and Europe, and how do you see adoption there? And why do you think this uh, has been mostly adopted in emerging markets?
Okay, so maybe I need to clarify something here. We are a US, like focused and a US regulated platform. All our merchants, I would say like 95% of our merchants are actually US businesses who want access to the customers or make payments to the emerging markets. So we are live in Vietnam, we are live in South Asia, we are live in Nigeria now. and we will be soon live in Mexico and Brazil as well. But we are connecting all these markets to the US businesses, and whenever we are onboarding merchants, these are US merchants, and they want access to the emerging markets. So that's how we operate. And we are in process of accepting card payments in US as well very soon, so that their customer can also be in US, but that's not our target market. Our target market is enabling US businesses get access to the customers, or make payments in emerging markets.
Basically, to unify all these different markets in the world and
Yeah.
into a unified payment stack, I guess. Um,
Yes, you can say that. Like a good example of that would be prediction markets, because US is the only jurisdiction which allows regulated prediction market. No one else in the world is having any regulatory framework for it. So in today's date, if Poly market wants access to Nigeria, they want access to Vietnam, South America, and so on, they could use Credible to get access to onboard these customers, make payouts to these customers, and so on. Whereas their current providers are not supporting it. So that's how we enable US businesses get access to the customers in other markets.
could you touch a little bit more on the compliance part? Because that's always a big question when it comes to any payments
Yeah.
related platform. Are you guys considered centralized finance, decentralized finance, or CeDeFi? What is the sort of category that you guys fit into?
Yeah. So I would position ourselves as a CeDeFi platform. We are a US MSB. We have, a registered FinCEN number and everything. And our entire orchestration layer is regulated. When I say orchestration, I mean the APIs, where, we are collecting payments, making payouts, and so on. Whereas our liquidity pool is DeFi and permissionless, which means anyone can give us the capital to bankroll and front the liquidity and make yield on top of it. We're offering 16% APY there. Whereas, the liquidity is being consumed by this regulated platform, where Credible is the MSB, and then all our acquiring partners have their own MTLs or their own licenses in the jurisdictions where we are operating. So that's how we work. We also work with partners which provide us MORs, like merchant on record kind of service, to ensure the local, compliances, taxes, KYCs, everything is taken care of through the MOR network. So think of us like a convergence of DeFi and CeFi to build a comprehensive compliant product.
If I think a lot of not a lot of the world is hopefully and probably going to move on chain in the next let's just say generally see decade, hopefully sooner.
Yeah.
But does Credible exist in a world where everything is on chain? Why do we need Credible if I can just send USDC from my wallet?
So I think it's not only about I mean, I don't know if you saw this open USD or open standard that recently
Yep.
was, launched yesterday or day before yesterday. I mean, they're all coming. Like Mastercard is coming, everyone is coming on chain right now, and I think they still need processors. I mean, even when plastic money existed and crypto did not exist, processors were required. When crypto money came in, you will still find coin payments and coin-based commerce and these kind of platforms where processing is required, because processing is not only about collecting payment, it is also about reconciliation, split settlement, and many more things. So we will evolve with time. And like I said, we are not just doing processing, we are doing orchestration, liquidity fronting, risk underwriting, and so many other things. So what you talked about is what we call as payment method. So the payment method might change to USDC instead of a card, but still you will need the risk underwriting. What if your wallet is, a high risk or a flagged wallet? All those kind of things will still be there.
And what are some of the biggest use cases for your stack? What sort of payments do you see as you've run Credible? Like, what sorts of use cases? I know you've mentioned creator payments. Which one of those was like the most surprising, and which is your favorite?
I think it is the creator payments because see, remittance is exciting. It has volumes and everything, but I find creator payments as a very fun business because these platforms are genuinely like having very creative stuff. What I mean by that is like first of all, we don't work with any OnlyFans or any nudity platforms. We work with the likes of TikTok. Where like people are chatting with each other with strangers and giving them roses and whatnot, and these platforms like the users top up make micro payments pretty frequently, and it's funny to see like sometimes for instance like people will not put $100, they will put like $103, $104, and we initially used to think why is this odd number, is someone trying to do some kind of a DDoS attack or gamify the platform or something, and then we found out it's because that is the price of giving those stickers to those other parties involved like girls, guys, and so on. And essentially the price points are every time user clicks on that sticker, automatically money gets deducted and gets loaded on their wallet or pay the price of the sticker. So I found that very like fun use case. I mean, you don't even realize you are emptying your pockets and just by chatting with some people. So yeah, it's beyond my understanding, frankly speaking. But yeah, it's funny. Like that's one of the use case I've seen.
If I look at Credible, right, as somebody who wants to invest into the ICO, would you say Credible is like a consumer product? Like, whenever I'm going to be using Credible, am I going to be aware of it? Because I think it's a little bit hard to grasp for retail investors who, or the,
Yeah.
I guess, average Joe, to grasp the business. What do you say to those people to help them understand just the magnitude of what you're doing?
So I'll tell you, like we are always sitting in the back end. For instance, like if you are using Cast, right, it is the most popular stable coin neobank in Solana ecosystem. In the back end, whenever you are making payment from, let's say, your Cast balance to someone in Vietnam, Cast is using a different provider in the back end, which is a PSP, to convert the stable coin into VND and settle it into your receiver's bank account. That PSP is what we are. So we have platforms like Cast already onboarded with us, and these platforms are using us. So you won't even realize you are using Credible, but you might be using it in the backend. And we take a small cut on every such transaction, which is done by these platforms.
Do you think there's ever a world where you go more B2C, or is that completely out of the question for you as you are kind of positioning yourself as, as a stack that other businesses could use, but, oftentimes businesses do try to expand. Is that something you're interested in at all?
So I'll tell you, like, I mean, we are approaching $1 billion worth of payment volume now. For me, if I have to achieve this volume with retail, I will have to pour in at least $30 million worth of raise and marketing and all that stuff. It's fun to see other people using your brand, but at the same time I know the amount of efforts it goes into dealing with retail businesses. So I will probably like sit back and focus on the B2B part and work in B2B2C model. But at the same time, like once our token is out, we will run campaigns for our token holders to get benefits on the platforms which are building on top of us and run campaigns through them. As of now, I'm not really like thinking about anything retail because I think it will be distraction. It will slow down the the growth on the numbers side of the things. And like it's better to just focus on B2B. We already have a huge pipeline of B2B customers which are waiting to get onboarded with us. So we just want to focus on that.
How do you pitch Credible to these partners? Like, how does that process go? Do you and why do they choose you? Is it because of your tech? Is it your customer support? What's the secret sauce for you to have achieved $1 billion?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, like, I learned it the hard way, and in fact, one of my uh, most difficult customer taught this to me. Like, I'm in a business where only two things matter. One is speed, and second is price. No one cares about what infra, what compliance, what license, and all that. That's like a one-time onboarding thing, but on a day-to-day basis. So that's where we are focused on. We offer the best rate possible, the fastest speed of settlement. That's all we do. And I think that's how, in fact, now that I think of it, that's how Solana also grew, right? Like Solana as a chain is the fastest network and the lowest cost compared to Ethereum and all that. So I think we are also kind of following the same, ethos, and we are, focusing on being the lowest price, or let's say most competitive price, and the best speed of settlement.
Yeah. I think we're sort of approaching the end here. So I'm just gonna ask you if there's any topics you think we should go through still, or anything you're interested in exploring in this conversation.
I think we have kind of covered everything, but the main part I want to highlight is that Credible is not like Bridge or most of the cross-border remittance infra. Remittance is probably 40% of our volume right now, and we are more like a payment gateway or a payment processor, where we can onboard any type of business. I mean, as long as it's legal, of course. All our clients are licensed, and yeah, and we would like to welcome more and more customers who are looking for access to emerging markets. They're based in US or in Europe, and looking to access customers in South America, Africa, or Asia.
All right. So I think, as you said, we've pretty much covered everything about Credible and your journey there. And I must say, good luck to for the raise. I'm very excited. I think Credible is one of the ICOs I've been waiting for a couple months now. So I'm very excited to see you guys finally raise. And yeah, thanks for coming on today. It was a great conversation. Thank you for telling me about Credible. And yeah, if you have any last words, feel free to tell the audience what's going on in your mind.
No, I think this has been exciting conversation. Thanks a lot, 8-bit, for giving me, the platform to explain what Credible is, and clarify any. I hope a lot of doubts will be cleared from the customers or the potential investors' point of view as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I came into it with um, I think as much understanding of it as any other person who's just looking at Credible from the outside, and I got answers to most of my every single one of my questions, and now I have a pretty clear understanding of what Credible is. So yeah, man, thank you for coming on, and I want to thank the audience and the listeners for listening to today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Thanks, 8-bit. Have a good one. Cheers.